My cousin had a man that she was dating for 4 years. So it was a long-term committed relationship. When they started, we were very stoked for her because this man let my cousin do whatever the heck she wanted to do. He let her get away with everything all the time, whether it was nice or not. And she did these things with no meaningful repercussions, other than him maybe occasionally getting mildly upset, which would easily be quenched even if she never apologized. He never told her no. He seemed to not have any standards for her to meet and accepted whatever she gave him, even when she was flat out being selfish. Would you believe that just 1 year into the relationship, this wonderful guy who never laid down the law with my cousin was thinking about proposing? And guess what she was thinking about? How to get out. She was bored and found herself trying harder and harder and harder to provoke a reaction out of him so that they could fight and that would at least show some signs of life in this man. She stayed with him for 4 years quite alright, but it was simply because it was more convenient. It was a more convenient living situation for her, but her heart had left the building. The relationship eventually fizzled away into nothing, and they went their separate ways because she needed to be with someone who was more her speed. Let's get into today's episode.
Does she like me? Was that a date or a hang? Is she single? Wait, what are we? Is it too soon to say I love you? Should I call him now or should I just wait? Maybe I should wait. Wait, should I let her go? Why did he just ghost me like that? Wait, can't we work it out? Is he an F-boy? Is she toxic? We hooked up. Why is he saying we're just friends? Let's face it. Relationships are the best thing when they work and a nightmare when they flop. You're recklessly giddy when Cupid's arrow sticks you in the ass and a nervous, pain-filled wreck when he comes to take his love away. There's hardly anyone who cannot relate to the dizzying highs and debilitating lows of relationships. We are naturally wired for connection, so when that's messed with, it can make us feel crazy. Enter Bambazeled. On this show, we help you figure out if you are being bamboozled by your bae. That's it. Nothing else, nothing fancy, just a real, raw, honest to heavens, and hopefully helpful take on the best to the worst of relationships and everything on the spectrum in between. No topic is off limits, no situation is too taboo or embarrassing. Give us everything. So, if you're wondering if you're being bamboozled by your bae, don't walk, run here. This is your new home. I am your new bestie, and I've got you. Now, let's figure out if you're being bambazeled.
Hello, beautiful people. Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for rocking with me. And I'm going to be switching between cameras because I'm trying to record for the gram. I'm trying to record with my camera for YouTube. We're gonna get it right, guys. We're gonna get it right. Keep going. Even when things are hard, do not give up. All right. So I spent the day with a lovely, lovely friend of mine. She had an event and she asked me to come with, and it was a beautiful time. We talked, we gisted, we laughed, we played. It was great. So I've had a really, really good Saturday. And I wanted to quickly stop by and share, some thoughts with you guys. So let's quickly get into it. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you could get away with absolutely anything? Like absolutely anything. You could call this guy or girl out their name. You could be rude. You could do stuff without any repercussions. You cheated. Say, for instance, I'm going to show up by 5. You don't show up till 10, and the person doesn't ask you, why didn't you call? Why didn't you tell me you were going to be late? What happened? So essentially, no consequences for anything, good or bad. And sometimes it feels like it's fun, especially at the beginning. It feels like a lot of fun when, you don't get called out for your shit, because I think human beings, for the most part, we don't like being called out. We we oh, let me tell you, so these earrings, I'm gonna shout out my friend, another friend of mine, a fantastic, lovely lady, Tab. Thank you so much. She gave me these earrings as a gift, and today's the first day I'm wearing them, and I think that they're super, super cute. So I'm launching my earrings today, Tab. Thank you. It feels kind of fun at first. You feel like the child you've always wanted to be, especially if you were the child that grew up in the kind of home where you were super restricted, where you were super criticized, where even when you did good, it was met with criticism. Even when you did well, it was met with very, very tepid. The most you'd get is a, oh yeah, that was nice, sort of kind of reaction when you meet someone who lets you get away with everything when you're coming from a place where you never got away with anything, even when you did right. It feels like a bit of relief at first. So now you're an adult, you're with this person who seems to allow you to do just about anything you want in the relationship. They never restrict you, they never call you out when you behave badly, they never put their foot down and insist on anything at all. Like, no standards, no boundaries. Now, how many of us have been in these seemingly dream relationships? But after a while, you either got extremely bored with always getting away with everything, or you found that your ability to connect with this person deeply was affected. There is a place for something called healthy fear. And when healthy fear does not exist, it actually triggers a sort of complacency in us. We don't feel the need to try or do or be anything. Also, another thing that happens when you're in that kind of relationship is you find that you begin to devalue your significant other because they have shown you that they're not going to leave you no matter what you do, right? So, one of the natural byproducts of complacency within a relationship is something that we call in Nigeria see finish. See finish essentially means that this person doesn't send you, they don't rate you, and they are not, there is not a healthy amount of fear. And I said healthy because you shouldn't be afraid of people, but there is something called healthy fear, and essentially that is called respect. Where there is complacency, there is no respect. That's essentially what I'm saying. And so when you have a partner who lets you get away with anything, he or she never ever calls you out. What is going to happen eventually is that you're going to begin to take this person for granted because as complacency moves in, respect moves out. So if you are in a relationship like that, even if you guys are together, it is very likely that you have checked out emotionally, probably even mentally, because there is something that sparring and some good, healthy conflict does for the health of a relationship. It keeps your brain alive and awake and active. It does. Essentially, love without boundaries is not healthy. Don't ever think that a person not being able to tell you no, a person always telling you yes, means that you guys have healthy love. That is not the way it works. Because there is always going to be a time, even if it is once, simply because you are supposed to be two individual people. There is going to be something that you both see differently, that you do not agree on, that you have different opinions about, that you have different ways of approaching. If there are no boundaries in relationships, what you have is a codependency. You have a codependent relationship. Codependency is not good. It feels good, especially when you're starting out, and it's like this guy cannot breathe without me, and this girl cannot breathe without me, and we have to be inside each other all the time. We are around each other. I see him every day, and he doesn't like I finish like he breathes and I finish the breath. And if he's not happy, I'm not happy. If I'm not happy, he's not happy. It sounds really good on paper, but you need to be certain that you are not walking or wading into the waters of codependency, because as you will find out as the episode goes along, codependency is very unhealthy for both people. So, what is a boundary and why do we need boundaries in good relationships? A boundary is created to protect you. It is created to protect everyone that that boundary engages with. For example, if there was no fence between your house and your neighbor's house, you may have more space technically because you can encroach onto their land as much as you want, which might sound good until you realize that they can also do the same thing as well. Where there are no boundaries, there is no safety and protection of individual space. When there are no boundaries, you cannot be an individual, autonomous being with your own experiences, with your own thoughts, with your own points of view, with your own threshold. You have to be exactly what it is this other person is, because there is nothing separating both of you and keeping you individual. That essentially is a boundary. So think of a boundary going forward as a fence. So a boundary is like a fence, right? And a fence serves multiple purposes. The fence doesn't only keep like intruders and whatever out, but it also protects the integrity of the space that is within that fence. And that is what a boundary does for you. It protects your integrity while also letting people know that this space should not be trespassed upon. If you do not access this space through the provided gates or means of entry, you have trespassed. So, if you love someone, if you actually love someone and you don't want to have to throw them out or kick them out or metaphorically take them to prison because they have encroached on your land or your private space, you will give them a boundary. You will let them know what your boundaries are, and you will want to know what their boundaries are, because you don't want to lose them. You don't want to accidentally encroach on their space or on the part of them that you are not allowed to go to. Being liberal to the point of being unbounded is not an expression of true love. It is an expression of a fear of abandonment, a need for external validation, and poor self esteem. So, this codependency or the fear of abandonment or the unwillingness to have boundaries or set boundaries or communicate those boundaries, and you just kind of like laugh at every joke that they say, even if the joke is kind of hurtful or painful. You don't tell them things that you like and things that you don't like. They say come, let's go, you run. They say jump, you say how high. They say fall, you say should I smash my head on the ground. They yell at you and you just cower. They intentionally hurt you and you don't call them out. Those are the expressions of codependency. Those are expressions of a fear of abandonment. And this often, not all the time, but often stems from our conditioning as children. The way we look at this person, not wanting to lose them and not wanting them to leave, it sort of happens because we have formed filters through which we look at life. And those filters saying, if you stand up for yourself, you will be left alone. If you stand up for yourself, you will be punished. And how were you punished as a child when you stood up for yourself? Mommy stops talking to you. Daddy stops talking to you. your older sister or brother gives you the silent treatment for a couple of days. They want you to do something, they want something that belongs to you. You say no, you want to use it or it's yours. You get hit, you get beaten, you get slapped. You have an opinion that is different from mommy or daddy's opinion. You have a way of doing things or seeing things or a way of being that is not like them. And you see that the child, if you've got siblings, if it's like a multi-sibling home, the child that is most like mommy or daddy is the favorite child, is the child that is favored, and is the child that seems to be loved the most, or seems to be loved more. I'm trying to put my leg up. Seems to be loved more. I'm actually going to do it. Let me just wait. And so it's subtle things like that that teach you, hey, there's something kind of wrong with me when I am myself. The response is negative. I either get punished, I get beaten, I get with love is withdrawn from me, even though it's temporarily. And the only time that love is reinstated, the only time that connection with mommy and daddy or sisters and brothers or whatever is reinstated is when I capitulate, is when I fold, is when I become like them, is when I do what they want me to do. So you learn, do not be yourself, because being yourself gets you hurt. Part of being yourself is expressing yourself. Expressing yourself got you hurt. So now, as an adult, you come into a relationship with someone and your brain has already stored it somewhere that when it comes to relationships, so that is with other people, if I express myself, I get hurt. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to hold back. You won't express yourself the way you need to. You won't say no when you need to. Because remember, as a kid, when you said no, you got flogged. When you said no, you got slapped. When you said no, nobody talked to you for a couple of days or a couple of hours, right? When you said no and your sister said yes or your brother said yes, they got ice cream. You did not, because you were a bad child, right? So this is what it looks like when it's happening to a child, and this is what it looks like when you're expressing that conditioning as an adult. The words that we can use to explain what that conditioning is essentially is this. It is the conditioning of being unworthy of excellent treatment. Because let me tell you something, the place that you should be treated the best in your life is your home. That's what I believe. The place where you should get the best treatment is at home. Let me tell you something that I've learned about people that are narcissistic or people that have difficult personalities and hurt other people. They hurt, and the funny thing about narcissists is they are awful to the people that are closest to them, like their spouse, their partner, sometimes their family, most times even their family. But they're so nice to people outside. Is it not true? It's true. It's part of the abuse technique, so that if you report them, people are going to be like, oh no, this person is such a nice person, this person is so nice, they will never do that. But then they go out, they're an angel, they come back and they're a monster. You can't talk to this person without it becoming a fight. They are mean to you, they're cruel, they don't talk to you for days. Do you know why they do that? Because a lot of narcissistic people were raised by narcissistic people. And that is the example that was mirrored for them. So mommy treated me like shit at home. But when she was talking to the pastor or when she was talking to her friend, she became very nice. She was very sweet and very loving. Daddy treated me like shit at home. But when his friends were around, he was very, very nice. When we go out in public, he's very, very nice and he does nice things for people. That's why they do the same thing. When they become adults and they enter into relationships, express in the same way that they were treated. And this should make you compassionate. It shouldn't make you foolish, but it should give you a little compassion for them, because they're only doing to you what was done to them. So I was talking about the conditioning of being unworthy of excellent treatment because you weren't treated excellently at home. You normalize people doing things that consistently hurt you. because you were consistently hurt at home. You stick around hoping that they will stop without you having to put a stop to the treatment. Because as a kid, where do you escape? How do you escape your parents? You couldn't stop them from doing the things that they did to you in the name of either discipline or love or whatever. From their own trauma, from their own hurt, the things that they did to you, you couldn't stop them from doing it. How dare you tell your mommy, hey, mommy, don't speak to me like that because I'm not trash. Don't insult me. Don't tell me I'm stupid because I'm not stupid. When you tell in Africa, you tell your mommy, don't tell me I'm stupid. You tell your dad, don't tell me I'm stupid. Not only will they tell you you're stupid, they will slap your face. As they're slapping your face, they will tell you, come on, my friend, are you stupid? How can you tell me not to tell you you're stupid, stupid fool? Right? So it's not funny. I'm laughing because it's true, but it's not funny. It's not funny. You should not insult your children. You really shouldn't. Because why should they not now insult people when they and then you tell them. And then the funny thing is, because we're also a very religious society, you come home, you insult your child, you go to church, you pray with that same mouth. You praise God, oh, praise the Lord Jesus, oh my God, whatever. And then you tell the child, you should speak well. You are the salt of the earth. Your mouth should be laced with salt or whatever, however it says in the Bible. But they're walking and they drop a cup and the glass breaks. Come on, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why did you? So in a lot of African households, Nigerian households specifically, there's a lot of parenting that is do as I say, not do as I do. And that creates a sense of unworthiness in children because for them, if I cannot do as my parent does, then they are better than me or I am less than them. So I'm treated less because I'm less. They are doing these things and they can get away with them because they are better than me. They are more. And it is such a subtle, insidious way or a subtle, insidious filter that plants itself inside the heart and the mind of this person that they don't even know, they're not even aware. And so they don't even treat themselves excellently. They don't. They have an appearance of superiority, quite all right. But let me tell you one of the reasons why they don't treat themselves excellently. Because when you meet someone who loves you and takes care of you and wants you to be happy, you mistreat that person, sometimes to the point of them having to leave. How do you explain a person taking a thing that is good for them and throwing it away? If not that they don't think they actually deserve the thing that is good. Do you understand? So sometimes when people leave you or you have to leave people, it's not because there was anything wrong with you. It tells you that, especially no, if you were good to them, if you showed up properly and you showed up like a decent person in the relationship, and they found a way to screw it up, it tells you that this person has low self-esteem and they don't think that they deserve something that good. So they find a way to get rid of it. Unfortunately, it comes from childhood conditioning. You have to bring yourself to a place where you start to see the impact that these things have on you. And the more you focus on the impact that bad treatment has on you, the more you'll realize that you don't deserve that shit. And this goes for all of us. I feel like I say it all the time. I think everybody needs therapy. And I'm sure that there are other people in this world that agree with me, especially if you're Nigerian. I think every Nigerian should go to therapy. Truly, truly. The Gen Ys, the Gen Qs, the Zs, the Ds, the whatever, all the gens, we should all go to therapy. Why? Because there's a lot of stuff in our culture. I think there's abusive things that have been muddled up with culture. And they, you know, parents, older people, and this happens not just at home, it happens in church, it happens in school. If we want to talk about the stupid culture of the seniors in boarding school who traumatize other children because they just happen to be older than them, right? So you see, it cuts across most of the fabric of the Nigerian home or the Nigerian system, where abuse is fused with culture. And so you almost cannot separate the two. Unfortunately, the fact that you cannot separate the two does not mean that it doesn't have a lasting, sometimes lasting, indelible effect on the minds of the people that have been abused. And that is my theory for why Nigerians can be quite wicked people, why we can be quite hard, is because it is not everyone that breaks and says to themselves, this is where I was broken. This is how I was broken. I'm going to make sure that nobody else is broken in the same way. Very few people do that. What most people do, unfortunately, is this is how I was broken and this is how I'm going to break others. And so you go through life being the damage that was done to you. You essentially become the monster that made you a monster, right? And that's unfortunate. And the only way you can fix that is, I suppose, to, patient zero the whole thing and eliminate the initial monster in the first place. So that what is passed down is kindness, compassion, is love, is respect, is healthy boundaries, healthy love, not love that is mixed with chaos and confusion and disrespect and devaluing. Because when you treat a person like that, you treat a child like that, they grow up to become an adult that treats other people like that. And that's how that virus is passed on generation to generation. In my opinion, that's the real generational curse. It's not some devil dancing around in any fire somewhere. It's the trauma that you didn't heal that you pass on to your child, who doesn't heal from it and passes it on to their child and their child and their child and so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay. So the truth is, I honestly believe that no one ever enjoys not being able to, not knowing what the line is. I'm telling you, it seems like it's fun at first, but let me tell you a story. I worked with a kid recently, just a darling child. He's, yeah, yeah, yeah. If you meet him, you'll love him. Very rambunctious, very high energy, very intelligent kid. And it's one of the EPs on that project said, he called me one day and he said, I want you to talk to him. This is what I want him to do, but I want you to tell him. And I said, why? He said, because he listens to you. I don't know why, but he listens to you. He doesn't listen to the rest of us. I said, that's strange. So I observed it from that day, and apparently it sort of was true. Everybody would tell him, do it like this, do this, oh, keep quiet, oh, stop making noise, oh, da, da. And it just flew over his head like as if they weren't saying anything. And then I would call him. I don't want to call his name because I don't have his mom's permission to do so. And I would call his name and I would say, so let's say, young man, this is what you need to do. Or say thank you. Or say I'm sorry. Or ask permission. Or say hello to people when you walk into the room. And he would do it. True. I never yelled at him, never screamed at him, never put my hand on him. Funny enough, you people are going to come for me, but I don't believe in hitting. I don't believe in it. I think it's barbaric. Mio, I don't think that the same way you sort of herd or train animals and cows is the thing that you should do to human beings. And then you expect them to grow up and not resort to violence in dealing with their problems. I just don't get it. So I don't believe in hitting kids. I don't, and I wasn't hit. I wasn't beaten, and I'm thankful that I wasn't beaten. I mean, I was disciplined. You better believe it. I was punished. You see, even children want boundaries. They're going to test them. They're going to push the boundary. They'll push back, but they want it because a boundary indicates safety. In some almost antithetical way or whatever, a boundary indicates, if, look, think about a cliff, right? If you have a cliff that has, I don't know who would build a fence around a cliff, but let's say you have a fence in front of it. People would play there with a little bit, more abandon, because they know that even if I go to the edge of the cliff, there's something that's going to hold me. There's a wall that's going to not let me fall. That is how our minds perceive boundaries. Where there is no boundary, there is no safety. Where there is no, people don't feel safe. You might think being a good mom or being a good dad or being a good big sister or whatever is saying, oh, sure, have sweets for breakfast. Oh, sure, jump on the couch. Oh, sure, play with fire. What happens is that child gets hurt, they get burnt, they get sick to their stomach, and they learn that I am not safe with this person because they will not protect me by telling me what not to do. When you tell a child what not to do, they may kick against it initially, but they thank you for it subconsciously because it means you're protecting them from the consequence of them doing that thing. Especially when they see the negative consequences played out with another child or in another scenario. So, the truth is that no one enjoys a relationship where the word no is not a valued member of the team. You may think being told no by your partner hurts, but what actually will hurt you in the long run is their inability to say no. Because guess what? If they cannot say no to you, then they cannot say no to others. And when you have a person who essentially is a yes man to everyone else, what usually happens is other people's needs take precedence over your own. When someone says jump, they say how high. When someone says lie down, they say how flat and how low should I go. When a person cannot say no to you, they also cannot say no to other people. And it might be fun at first, but believe me, you will end up very resentful because imagine you're supposed to be spending quality time with your man and he's a yes man. And by the way, let's say he's supposed to be doing something at work or he's supposed to be studying for his master's or whatever. But because he cannot say no, because he doesn't have a strong enough sense of self, he leaves his work or his studying or the important thing he's supposed to be doing to spend time with you, even though it's not you guys' time, it's not time for quality time for both of you. And then while you people are now spending quality time together, he leaves that when his friend calls him and says, hey, yo, what's up, bro? Let's go hang out. Let's go hang out later. And he can't say no. So your quality time that was supposed to be his study time becomes you people's friends hangout time. And when that happens enough times, resentment starts to build. So it leads to resentment, and resentment always has a way of spilling out. So if you find that you have been the sort of person, the sort of man or woman who finds it very difficult to say no, who is afraid of people's disapproval, and because you don't want to be disapproved of, you you dance to the tune of everybody's beat but your own. If you have misunderstood what healthy love is supposed to be and instead practice codependency in the name of love, if you have been on the receiving end, if you've been with a partner like this and you know how frustrating it can be, here are a list of suggestions that might be able to help. Number one, you need to learn about boundaries, what they are, what they aren't, how to enforce them, what to do when they are minimized or bulldozed over. You need to learn about boundaries. And there's many resources on the internet, there's many resources on the tube, there's resources on Google. You know what? Let me even tell you what the major infallible resource is. It's you. It's you. You know what you don't feel comfortable with. You know what you don't like. You know how it feels when something is not organically working with your sensibilities, with your mood, with your personality, with who you authentically are. You are the best source of information about you. Unfortunately, when you have been minimized a lot, when you have been dismissed a lot in your life, it makes you question when you've been gaslit a lot as well, it makes you question your own judgment. It makes you question your ability to interpret or even just observe reality. I think I just cut my leg. So, your ability to observe reality is affected when you're constantly criticized, when you're minimized, when you're dismissed, when you're gaslit, when you are when fear is instilled inside of you. It makes you question yourself a lot. But I think we are all created by God with a deep, deep inner sense of who we are. And even though it might be buried under years and years and years and years of other people's invalidation, it's still there. And if you dig enough, you will feel it. You will feel yourself and who you truly are and what you truly want, what you desire. And that is the first place that you can start to study when you want to find out what your boundaries are. What do you honestly like? What do you honestly dislike? And you have to learn or find a way to let yourself be authentically you. Even if nobody agrees, even if nobody else likes it, even if nobody else understands, you have to find a way to let yourself be authentically you. That's the only way you'll enjoy your life properly. Otherwise, you're going to live your life in secret. You're going to live your life hiding from people. You're going to live your life buried under other people's expectations, other people's thoughts of you, other people's perceptions, other people's goals and other people's dreams and other people's desires. And the entire time, you, the real you, whoever that is sitting there crying, hoping that one day it'll get the chance to live. Number two, you need to learn about why you believe that being with a doormat. Now, this is if you're the sort of person who wants a person who doesn't have boundaries. You need to learn about why you believe being with a doormat is the only way you can be safe in a relationship. Because there is a reason why you find boundaries unsafe. Pull out the inner voices and write out what they're saying. Are they saying that you're unlovable? Are they saying that people don't stay with you? Are they saying that people won't like you for who they are? Are they saying that you are not enough? If you find that you're the sort of person who wants a person who doesn't have boundaries, who doesn't enforce those boundaries, who doesn't call you out when you don't even have boundaries, it means that when you tried to, you know, go through the natural process of finding yourself and knowing yourself and understanding yourself and embracing that person, it was interrupted, it was circumvented, and you were made to feel like something was wrong with you. Essentially, it wasn't safe for you to do so. And so now, a person having healthy boundaries is an affront to you. It's frightening to you. And for some people, depending on your personality, depending on whether you have a personality disorder or not, when you are afraid, you lash out. You lash out in anger, you lash out violently, you lash out. And so if a person says to you no, you don't hear their no as I love you, I respect you, and I don't want to have to restrict access to you. And if you do this thing, it is going to make me restrict access to you. So I'm telling you no, because I want to stay in relationship with you. You don't hear it that way. What you're hearing instead is, no, you're not good enough for me to say yes to this for. There's something wrong with you, and that's why I'm telling you no. You hear people's boundary as an offense. It is an affront. It is a put down. It is something that you have to fight back because a person's no feels like an attack. And that is not something or anything to do with that person. It is completely to do with you and your understanding of boundaries. Most likely, you weren't allowed to have any, and you grew up or you live in an environment where you are not allowed to be an individual, autonomous human being and still be safe being yourself. You have to be a version of the people around you. And if you choose to individuate, you are either cast out, rejected, neglected, mocked, laughed at, left alone, so essentially abandoned. And so you see how it is a fear of those things happening that makes yes men out of people. So you need to find out why you have a bad relationship with boundaries, because the likelihood is if you don't let people have boundaries, you probably don't have any yourself. And so while you're trespassing on other people's property, your property is being trespassed on as well. Number 3, practice setting some soft boundaries at first. If you are someone who hasn't had boundaries, who doesn't know anything about boundaries, who has tried to set boundaries and it didn't work, whatever, practice setting some soft boundaries to start. A good way to know where a boundary is needed is to look at the places that feel triggered when you are treated a certain way. If you feel negatively about it, don't try to talk yourself out of that feeling. Don't try to convince yourself that it's not really a big deal. Engage with the feeling and be brave enough to take it to your partner. I want to guarantee you of something. If you are with a healthy person and you take something to them that you are struggling with, that you are not comfortable with, that is hurting you or causing problems, they are not going to cast you away. They're not going to laugh at you. They're not going to mock you. They're not going to make you feel less than or make you feel stupid or make you feel like something is wrong with you. A healthy partner wants to know you. And a part of you, it's the things you're not comfortable with. It's the things you're afraid of. It's the things that you're insecure about. They want to know that so that they know how to navigate you as a whole person. So essentially, they don't want you only when you're happy. They don't want you only when you're sexy. They don't want you only when you guys are like drunk and, high. They want all of you. And for them to have all of you, they need to know all of you. That is an indicator that you're with someone that is healthy. When they ask you, hey, tell me the things that make you upset. I want to understand the things that make you upset. I want to understand where the line is. I want to know what your non-negotiables are. Because someone who loves you and doesn't want to lose you will never risk it. So in order for them not to risk losing you, they need to know the things that they will do that will make them lose you so that they don't do them. And if you take them to your partner and they cast you aside, it is already telling you that you are not with the kind of person that you're safe with. And my question to you is this: why do you want to be with someone that you're not safe with? Why? All right, number 4. If you don't want to leave the person who has been too liberal with you, so this again is for the person who is with someone who isn't strong enough yet to set boundaries or to, stand up for themselves. If you don't want to leave them, encourage them to set boundaries. Mirror for them what it looks like to have a boundary. And encourage them when they express a boundary to you. Encourage them by respecting it. So when you find that you're with a timid person, or you're with someone who is struggling a little bit with their self-esteem or struggling with their sense of self, and you think that you and this person are compatible and there is promise in this relationship, don't throw it away. But you have to be the decent person and encourage them to have boundaries. Encourage them with kindness. Don't badger them. I've badgered some. In the past, I've badgered people to be like, "Oh, you have to like have a sense of self. You have to be strong. You have to be this. Have your own identity." It doesn't help. It really doesn't help. It's not good. Because a person who already has low self-worth, even if they present like they're very superior and they're very strong. In fact, the more a person tries to look strong on the outside, for me, it tells me that there's probably a little bit there's a lot more sensitivity that they're trying to hide and they don't want people to see. And so I've learned that you have to handle people like that with a lot more compassion and patience, because what's on the outside is not really what's on the inside. Encourage them to have boundaries by respecting their no when it's a no, respecting their yes when it is a yes, even though it might be a no for you, right? So that doesn't mean you go along with whatever they want because you want them to, develop strength within their boundaries. No. But it means that you encourage them to be the individual that they are. So when it's a yes for them and it's a no for you, let their yes be yes and let them go along with it. You don't have to. When it's a no for them and it's a yes for you, let them have their no. If they don't want to talk right now, you don't have to force them to talk. Let them know that you need to have a conversation, but it doesn't need to be right this minute, simply because you want it to be this minute. They say, I can't talk right now, babe. Let that be enough. Because if you handle their boundary or their expression of their boundary in a safe way, if you handle it maturely, you are helping to retrain their brain and their mind with a new narrative, with a new understanding that, hey, listen, it is safe here for you to be yourself, where it probably wasn't for you in the past. And that is why you've become this codependent, wishy-washy kind of person. But I'm telling you that it's safe. So when you tell me no, you're not going to lose my love. When you tell me no, you're not going to lose my affection. When you tell me no, you're not going to lose connection. I will still be here with you, even when we don't agree on certain things, because it's safe for you to be yourself here. And that is the ultimate thing that I think we need to be communicating to one another in relationships at any given time. Hey, babe, you're safe here. Hey, Bobo, you're safe here. I mean, you can say it like that, like on the nose like that, but you tell a person they're safe in many different ways. You tell them they're safe by the way you touch them. You tell them they're safe by the way you notice them. You notice when they're comfortable. You notice when they're uncomfortable. You tell them they're safe by the way you rescue them sometimes, even from themselves. You tell them they're safe by the way you embrace their flaws, by the way you embrace even their insecurities, the way you handle those with care and compassion. You tell them they're safe by how you handle the expression of their boundaries. You don't make them feel bad for it. You don't make them feel like they have to prove to you why they need a boundary. And you don't make them throw their boundaries away just because it makes you more comfortable to do things a certain way. That's how you tell your partner that they're safe with you. Yeah? And I guarantee you, a safe relationship is the best relationship to be in. All right. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. We all think that we want to get everything we want just as we want it, exactly when we want it, until we actually get it. Sometimes we find that the reason we love wanting in the first place is because of the possibility that we may or may not get it. That's human nature. Desire dies where there is no restraint. I hope today's thoughts have been somewhat helpful for you, and if they have, I would ask that you please share them with someone that you think they will be helpful to as well. It's important to say that Bambazeled is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health treatment. If you do need to speak with a mental health professional, there are organizations that I can personally recommend, that I trust, that I have worked with, and I would be more than happy to share those resources with you. So please, if you need to speak with someone, let me know, and I will do my best to put you in touch with the help that you need. All right, you know what time it is? Sign off with me. In life, we can always do better, or we can do worse. Let us try to find ourselves in the former more than we are in the latter. Stay safe out there in these relationship streets. Make sure that you are not bamboozling or being bamboozled by your bae. I will see you again in the next episode. Until then, please let love guide you always. Bye for now.